speaking of somebody who I want to see with the world championship, I want to see Britt Baker, baby, with that. I want to see her with that AEW Women's Championship. What a segment this was. Truly, we talk about chaos at the end of that last segment. That chaos bled over into the waiting room. Britt tried her best. Tried her best to keep order, but I think inviting Jade might have been a mistake. What was your take on this segment, brother? How did you feel like the waiting room? Really, this waiting room has been a staple on Dark for many, many weeks. This was a great chance for us to see it on Dynamite. It certainly had some major star power with Cody being involved. How did you take this segment? Were you a fan, or was it too chaotic for you? Did you lose interest because of that chaos? Because I know that some people struggled with that.
I personally think I lost a little bit of interest in this one. It seemed just kind of all over the place. Like you said, yeah, chaotic. It wasn't really structured. I feel like they kept just going off the rails, and it was too free flowing. I don't even think I have to go back and watch it if Cody even got a word in.
He had a couple. Anytime Britt Baker has
interrupted.
a microphone in front of her, she's not going to allow people to get much words in. But
Yeah, so but she really jabbed at Cody a lot before he came out. So she was really cutting deep on him. So that's kind of, I mean, that's her persona, that's her gimmick for sure. But I expected more out of Cody out of this, but I was actually wondering this. I was like, what happened to Jade? Obviously Brandy got pregnant. So I was wondering this past week when we're gonna see her next. And then she showed up, and she showed up with a vengeance for sure. What they do from here, if she challenges Red Velvet, that's clearly is a size match. That should be victory by Jade. I mean,
what a visual. Holy smokes. I mean, Jade looks like she's literally carved out of rock. I mean,
looks like Hulk Hogan next to Marco Stunt almost.
Yeah, this was this is certainly a David versus Goliath type of matchup, right? I mean, the main event, Cage versus Darby. This is that kind of on the female side of things. I mean, Jade is a powerhouse. I know that Red Velvet is certainly scrappy. If you watch some of her work, you know that she plays that underdog role to her advantage. Certainly. That said, I don't know, man. I think that this is going to be one of those messages. Jade's going to send a message loud and clear to Brandy, and unfortunately, it's going to be at the expense of Red Velvet.
Yeah, and this segment, even though it was chaotic, it told a lot of stories. It kind of pulled out, the dirt on Cody, essentially, like who you going for, Sting, Shaq, Snoop Dogg, like what's going on with you, And then you have the Jade and the Red Velvet, or the Jade and Brandy segment. Then you have all hell breaks loose, and all of a sudden Thunder Rosa appears on the screen, and then we're like, yes, I mean, this is, the waiting room being on Dark. It could be every other week type of segment that we see on Dynamite, just to, like we said, in the past, to build a women's division, you need to have these stars constantly featured, whether it be a match or a segment. And this is a perfect segment to constantly feature who you believe, and we both believe, is the star of the women's division, Britt Baker. But I mean, it was so great to hear Thunder speak and cut a promo, and we finally have a date for the feud. The feud of AEW that you've been saying over and over again at Beach Break, February 3rd, which could be the main event of the night. In our opinion, we believe that this could be the main event. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker, to really crown the queen of the women's division.
Well said, SPD. Well said. I know that, and I'm not gonna argue. I think that the detractors of this segment, they make valid points. It did get chaotic. It did go off the rails a little bit. I wish, MJF was here to kind of pull everybody back on track. But, Britt's usually so good at that. But there was a lot going on. So I can respect those people who felt like it kind of got lost and it kind of got a little too muddled down with all the stuff going on. But to me, I think it's established, one, Britt Baker and Rebels their pairing, their comedic timing together is so on point. They are so like I loved the over the top laughter in the background to every joke and little comment that Britt Baker made. I think that Britt is natural on the microphone. She was so corny. I loved that. But Britt is so good on the mic. I'm just shocked at how far she's come. She's so comfortable, and she really can command the attention of the audience. I love her ability to kind of poke jabs at things, to really, I think, tell a story in a way through her actions, through her words. The girl is on point, and she just has that star power. For me, yes, I was expecting a little bit more out of Cody, but we did see, Cody has a lot of different pots on the fire. He's got this big show that he's on with TNT. He's got that cross promotion going with Shaq, a lot going on. And so really this was a way to recenter Jade and Shaq against Cody and Brandy. Right.
Right.
I thought that they tried to establish that. I just wonder if that was really the right place for it. I mean, this segment to me, in the end, we're all remembering Britt Baker versus Thunder, right? And so
for sure,
some of that got lost with all the other craziness going on. Let's dial in and focus in on the fact that we get the match of, I think, the women's division thus far in 2021. We get to see Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. Like we talked about, that is the feud of AEW right now. It is the hottest feud in the company. Both of these two have such star potential. Britt with her ego and her constant jabs at other people, her belief in herself, that kind of a superiority complex that she has, versus Thunder, who has that, like, came from nothing, pushed herself, made a self-made story, that underdog. It's just such a natural pairing. You have a groundswell of support. Thunder Rosa has so many fans who love what she's done, what she represents. And it's so easy to hate Britt Baker just because she's a Steelers fan. So